Right, viewers, let's start our bulletin with the biggest story of the day. Row has erupted over Maldivian MP's derogatory jibe against India on social media. Now, this has escalated into a full-blown diplomatic row between the two countries. In fact, it all started when Zahid Ramiz, a member of the Progressive Party of Maldives Senate, mocked the beaches of Lakshadweep Island and said that the odor and the smell in the hotel rooms in India will be the biggest issue for tourists. He also questioned if India can match what Maldives has to offer as terms of tourism. In fact, the timing of the unwarranted remark was interesting. It came after Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the Lakshadweep and also the social media pictures that were going viral. As per sources, the Indian government, after this entire controversy came up, raked up the issue with the Maldivian authorities, and soon after this, Maldives even put out an official statement calling the derogatory remarks a personal opinion and something that was not represented by the government. In fact, Youth Ministry Deputy Ministers Malsha Sharif and Mariam Shivna and also the Transport Ministry Deputy Minister Hassan Zihan have been suspended from their posts for making remarks on social media platform mocking Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So these are the actions that have been taken by the Maldivian government as far as this particular statement is concerned. So on one hand, the controversy has erupted, and on the other hand, Maldives have now swiftly acted given how big this is becoming in India and also the scale of the response that is coming in as far as Indian celebrities are concerned. Right. Also, Maldives has been a popular tourist destination for Indians, and some of the credit also goes to Bollywood celebrities for hyping it up on social media. But with the escalating controversy, B-Town celebs have taken a firm stance. Stars like Salman Khan, Akshay Kumar, and also Kangana Ranaut have put out various posts on social media platforms. While Salman Khan backed Lakshadweep tourism given Prime Minister Modi's visit, Akshay Kumar has hit back at the unprovoked hate and racist remarks against India. Now, Kangana Ranaut, her reaction has also been a little more aggressive, with the actress pointing out that the majority of the Lakshadweep belongs to a particular community and any sort of a statement will be a statement against us. Now we'll be talking about this. We will be discussing this issue. This has of course been the biggest story today. The diplomatic row that is now escalating, and of course the Maldivian authorities have tried to play it down. But to discuss more on this and also to help us understand what this means for India, India's strategic interests and also the tourism in India, joining me on the broadcast is Mr. Pinak Ranjan Chakravarti, who is a former secretary at the Ministry of External Affairs, and also Mr. Subhash Goyal, the chairman, Aviation, Tourism and Hospitality of the Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining us on the broadcast. This is, of course, a very, very important issue for India. The political leadership in Maldives has seen a seesawing time and again battle as far as the political ideology is concerned. In Maldives, sometimes it is India first, and on the other hand, the next government comes out and says India out. In fact, as far as the current scenario is concerned, the current president, Mohammad Muizzu, has made his inclination towards the India out narrative pretty clear. While Maldives is important for India, India is also important for the Maldives. And this, of course, is in terms of tourism. I'll just ask my team there to play out the graphics of what tourism industry in Maldives looks like and how India contributes to it. In fact, in 2023, the highest number of tourists in Maldives were from India. 2.09 lakh Indians visited Maldives in just 1 year. Mr. Subhash Goyal, you are of course an expert in the sector. Maldives' economy is dependent on tourism, and India right now, with all the statements coming in, looks like is hurting Maldives where it hurts the most with the push for Lakshadweep, because ecologically Lakshadweep is just as beautiful, and while there might not be just as many facilities, it will of course develop as tourists come in. Now, this will, of course, not just pull Indian tourists out of Maldives, but it will also lure foreign tourists away from Maldives. Help us understand the tourism industry as far as Maldives is concerned, and also how much of an important India's role is in the Maldives.
During COVID-19 and immediately after COVID-19, Indian tourists contributed more than $1 billion to the economy of Maldives. And I think it's a very short-sighted view of some politicians who think they can do away with India. I think India should do tit for tat. We should make an advisory against traveling to Maldives because it's not safe now. with Chinese influence, anything can happen in that island. And there are a lot of alternatives. Definitely Lakshadweep is much better. The water sports, the marine life, the undersea, life is much better than Maldives. But unfortunately, Lakshadweep's island or Lakshadweep has not been marketed, and the two resorts which were there, Bangadeep Island and Agani resort, are lying closed. So government should do something to, subsidize those resorts and restart them. Right. There are only flight from Cochin to Agathi Islands is there now under the Udan scheme. We should immediately, allow or motivate other airlines like, Vistara, Air India, Indigo, SpiceJet to start flights under the Udan scheme. Let government subsidize to this, so that if there is more connectivity, then definitely Lakshadweep is a much better choice. It's only about 22 kilometers from Cochin, and there are 39 islands which can all be developed. And plus, if we have an advisory against Maldives, their tourism economy will come to a standstill, because there are a lot of alternatives apart from Lakshadweep, which the Prime Minister went and promoted. Once the connectivity is there and the accommodation is there, it can then replace Maldives. But alternatively, we have Andaman Nicobar Islands, which have a lot of connectivity and also a lot of this. Sri Lanka, which is now a friendly country, has much better beaches or equally good beaches than Maldives. So I think we must, and we must stop our Indian carriers which are flying to Maldives. We should suspend their traffic rights so that, they know the
Now, Mr. Goyal, I'll take that point across to Mr. Chakravarti, who's also carefully listening to you. Mr. Chakravarti, how do you react to Mr. Goyal's suggestion there? Mr. Goyal says there should be some sort of an advisory issued so that the tourists from India pull out. Do you think that would be a knee-jerk reaction, given the fact that while on one hand, one of the political parties is talking about India out, which is the current political party, there is also another alternate political party, which when comes to power is pretty close to in India. Of course, we're talking about this party and what they're saying, but also we are also tracking reactions that are coming in from the opposition party in the Maldives, and they are of the opinion that India has been very critical for the growth of Maldives, and this sort of a reaction on these sort of a statements should not be coming in as far as India is concerned. So do you think India should come out with a serious action, something like this, or should we just wait and watch and prepare just for the time when the other party comes to power, as it has been happening, like it's a seesaw battle that's going on there? Mr. Goyal wants to respond to. Mr. Goyal, you were saying something about advisories being issued for other countries. We will talk that as well in the future. But also you were talking about
that we should not take a knee-jerk reaction.
Right, go on.
But at the same time, we should send a message that no one can mess around with the new India under Prime Minister Modi. You see, a lot of Western countries, even whatever little thing happens, they give an advisory and they forbid their or advise their nationals not to travel to Kashmir, not to travel to this place, not to travel to that place in India. So if these Western countries can do that, why can't we issue just a polite advisory? I'm not saying you go with your warships or anything. All that I'm saying is, they are dependent on a lot on the Indian tourists. So we should say that till the situation is not conducive and there is anti-India feeling, we should avoid going to Maldives. That's all. I think there is no harm in making this statement.
All right.
This is my personal opinion.
All right. All right, so that's the point Mr. Goyal is making. I'll just take it across to Mr. Chakravarti. Sorry, I had to interject you before. But I think the point that Mr. Goyal is making is that this is not just one isolated incident. It has been a growing concern. Now, the current regime earlier asked the Indian troops to be pulled out of Maldives. They've also decided to not renew the agreement with India that allowed India to conduct the hydrographic surveys in the Maldivian waters. So again, this is in a way, if Mr. Goyal, I think that's the point he's trying to make, that this is raising fears of the Maldives emerging as a pit stop for China in the Indian Ocean. But Mr. Goyal was talking about tourism. Mr. Goyal, you were talking about Lakshadweep being an alternative, but let's face it, Maldives is much more developed. Right now, it has the infrastructure that Lakshadweep does not have. So, while the focus of the government to push for Lakshadweep is good, how long do you think before Lakshadweep actually becomes a viable alternative for people who are now going to the Maldives? Because yes, the government push is very important, the focus is very important, but also there needs to be the facility also that Maldives already is offering.
You know, two things which are needed to develop Lakshadweep. One is air connectivity, second is infrastructure.
Right.
Both are lacking right now in Lakshadweep. So it will take at least 1 or 2 years. It can be slightly more. That is, if the government and the private sector work together to develop the infrastructure, and government subsidizes, under the UDAN scheme, flights and motivates the airlines to start flying to Lakshadweep. But there are alternatives to this. Sri Lanka is an alternative. Andaman Nicobar is an existing alternative where there is air connectivity as well as there is a lot of, infrastructure. So let us divert our tourists. At least I'm going to request in the various groups that are there that stop selling Maldives and try to divert passengers to Andaman Nicobar Island, this and Lakshadweep. But Lakshadweep, we need to immediately get the two big resorts that are lying close to restart, and we need to immediately develop infrastructure. These are the two things that are needed immediately, and once they are done, then Lakshadweep is much more beautiful, much better, less, polluted than Maldives is concerned. And we can also start some seaplane services which are there in Maldives and it's not there in Lakshadweep. So Lakshadweep has a huge potential for development. But probably this behavior of Maldives politicians could be a blessing in disguise for the development of Lakshadweep.
Right, Mr. Goyal, very interesting points that you're making there. While we should be supportive of an Indian destination which is equally blessed when it comes to nature, we should also be focusing on developing it. Before we wrap up this discussion, my last question to Mr. Subhash Goyal, appreciate you joining us here for this very, very important discussion. Of course, our focus will continue to be on Maldives and India, and one only hopes, like Mr. Chakravarti has also pointed out, that this is just the new government that's come in, regional politics that's playing out, like it is also playing out in Canada, and there are no long-term ramifications that could affect India-Maldives relations. Of course, we'll keep a very close eye on that, and we'll keep bringing you all the latest updates. In fact,